Hey everyone! Today, we're diving into something that's about to shake up the car industry in a big way, the new Euro 7 rules. We're talking about a major shift designed to finally close that gap between how clean a car says it is in the lab and how clean it actually is out on the road.
So let me ask you something right off the bat. Is your car as clean as you think it is? I mean, you probably saw those official emissions numbers when you bought it, right? But here's the thing. Those numbers, they don't always tell the whole story.
And for a long time, the real answer has been, well, not really. You see, there's always been this gap, this disconnect between how a car does in a super-controlled, sterile lab test versus how much it's actually polluting out there on the real road. You know, when you're stuck in traffic, climbing a steep hill, or driving in the freezing cold.
And look, this gap isn't just some nerdy, technical detail on a spreadsheet. No, it's a genuine, real-world problem. It has serious consequences for the air we all breathe and for our health.
So to really tackle this, the new rules get super specific. And here's a key detail. To make sure the tests actually reflect real European driving, any car they pull for testing has to have been driven in the EU for at least 90% of its life. It's all about capturing reality, you know, not some perfect simulated lab environment.
All right, so to finally slam that door shut on the gap between the lab and the road, the EU has rolled out this landmark new legislation, and it's called the Euro 7 rules.
So what is Euro 7 exactly? Well, to put it simply, it's a brand new, much tougher set of emission standards for cars and vans. But here's the absolute key. It's all about measuring and limiting pollution under a way wider range of real-world driving conditions.
The goals here are really straightforward. First, simplify the whole testing process. Second, make absolutely sure that cars are genuinely cleaner out on our roads. Third, make the rules reflect the actual expected lifetime of a car. And, this is a big one, they're flat out prohibiting any of those cheating devices and trying to make the whole system more transparent for all of us. Okay, so how does Euro 7 actually pull all this off? Well, it all comes down to one thing. Making the tests a whole lot tougher, so we get much truer results about how a car really performs.
Let's just compare the old way versus the new way for a second. The old standards, like Euro 6, were all about predictable, repeatable lab tests. Euro 7 completely shifts the focus. It's all about what's called real driving emissions, or RDE, and that means exactly what it sounds like, measuring pollution while the car is being driven on actual roads by actual people.
And it's not just about that. The new rules push into a bunch of new frontiers. For example, there's now a low-temperature test, because we all know engines pollute way more when they're cold. There's also a much longer durability test, to make sure the emission controls keep working for up to 200,000 kilometers or 10 years. They're even testing for evaporative emissions now. That's the fuel vapor that can just escape from your tank.
And this isn't just for one type of car. This comprehensive new testing applies right across the board. We're talking petrol cars, hybrids, and yep, even hydrogen combustion engines. Now, there is one interesting exception. Diesel cars don't have to do the new low-temp test, but manufacturers do still have to give the authorities data on how their systems handle the cold.
All right, now let's talk about a huge piece of this new regulation. It's all about closing loopholes and, let's just be honest, putting an end to the cheating games. For good. The rules specifically call out something called a manipulation strategy. So what's that? It's basically any bit of hardware or software that's smart enough to know, hey, I'm being tested right now, and then changes how the emission controls work to make the car look cleaner than it actually is in normal, everyday driving.
And the new law could not be more clear about this. It states, and I'm quoting here, the use of manipulation devices or manipulation strategies is prohibited. That's it. There's no wiggle room, no gray area. This is a direct shot at the scandals of the past and a very clear line in the sand for the future.
So how are they going to enforce this ban? Well, it's a new three-step process. Step 1. Car companies have to declare every single strategy they use that might change how their emissions controls work. Step 2. The authorities will comb through all of these to make sure they're actually needed for technical reasons and not just to cheat the test. And Step 3. Surveillance teams will be out there actively testing cars on the road, looking for any weird changes in emissions that weren't declared.
Okay, so we've talked about the problem, the new rules, the tougher tests, and the crackdown on cheating. But what does all of this actually mean for you?
Well, it's pretty simple, really. It means that the next new car you buy will have been tested in a way that truly reflects reality.
It's going to be built to stay cleaner for a lot longer, and its emissions will be measured on the kind of trips you actually take every day, not just in some pristine laboratory.
And listen, this is happening really soon. By the end of 2026, these rules kick in for all brand new models of cars and vans. Just 1 year after that, at the end of 2027, it applies to every single new car and van being sold. The smaller manufacturers get a little more breathing room with their deadline in mid-2030.
So, there you have it. Euro 7 is a massive leap forward. It's forcing cars to finally live up to their clean promises out in the real world. It really raises the bar for the entire industry. And that leaves us with one final big question to think about. With this much tougher standard now in place, what's the very next step on the long road to a truly zero-emissions future?